Hello and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast. My name is Laura and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our cat, and our rabbit, who wouldn't let me pick him up even if he was out here. You can find me online pretty much everywhere as Tiny Human Knits, and I will have links to all of my social media and everything else I talk about in the description box below this video. What's the matter, Shrimp? She's big mad that we're not sitting outside at the moment, but I told her after I'm done filming this, we'll go sit outside. She likes to chase bugs in the dead leaves in the backyard. Anyways, it is the 7th of May, I think, so it's been a little over a month since my last episode. I think it's about 6 weeks, just about. And I do have a few things to talk about. Kitty, you're gonna have to go entertain yourself for a little bit. And then I have a few new cast-ons and quite a few summer knitting plans that I'd really like to get started. I bought yarn, summer yarn. Oh, now I've got cat hair in my eye. I bought a lot of summer yarns from the Knitting Loft's local yarn shop day sale, which is, I think they have a sale twice a year, and that's one of them. So I bought a bunch of summer yarns to make myself some summer garments because I really, really need them. But yeah, I think we'll dive right in. I am wearing my Summer Souffle by Laura Penrose. I omitted the ruffle out of this one, which I would probably only knit the ruffle on the original Souffle, and I do have plans to make that because I just think lately I rewatched all of Laura Penrose's videos from the absolute beginning to the latest ones she had, and it was delightful. It was a great way to pass a lot of working time, but just seeing that original version that she knit the first time again, oh, it's so beautiful. And I have a colorway I can dye that's very near that color because that's kind of what I want. So I'm going to get some bare mohair and make that eventually. I really want to get through the summer yarns that I bought first. Hi, Kitty. What's the matter? What's the matter? You okay? So yeah, I knit this using the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in 2 different colors. I can't remember what the colors were called. I'm not a super fan of this yarn personally. I held it double for the whole thing, and when I washed it, I used cold water, used a color catcher, didn't use wool wash, because I have found, as someone who dyes yarn, if you are afraid of color bleeding in your garments when you first wash them, don't, or at least with the Eucalan, don't use wool wash. It has a tendency to make the colors bleed more. I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning is, but I just use a little bit of like a dish soap, like an unscented dish soap for it instead, or you can just use water. But it bled terribly, and I'm also not really happy with the amount of pilling I'm getting from how little I actually wear this. But I'm hoping it's just like the initial pill, but I'm going to over dye this eventually. Probably in a darker color, so you can still kind of see the stripes, but it won't be as punchy. Which is actually kind of good because I'm knitting something now that is very similar to this color scheme. So I think it'd be good if this one was a different color so I didn't have two the same sort of color scheme things. But that's a very long way of saying what I'm wearing. I'm also wearing a handmade skirt, but I'm not going to stand up and show you that because I am sitting on the floor. So I am going to go into my finished objects, of which there are 4. I will start with, I am unraveling a skein of yarn over here. That's not good. I'll start with the 2 pairs of socks that I've recently finished, or finished since my last episode. The first one is my Totoro colorway from my Studio Ghibli collection that I released at the end of April. I think it was like a week and a half ago. And I finished the sample for that. It is a 5-stripe striping sequence. And I used the same recipe I use for every single one of my pairs of sample socks, just about 56 stitches, 15 rows of 2x2 ribbing, a heel flap and gusset, and then a wedge toe at the bottom. This is the Totoro colorway. I have a few of this colorway left in the shop at the moment, if you're at all interested. And then the second pair of socks that I finished is actually a new sample pair of an old colorway. I wanted to re-dye and re-sample this colorway just because it's been a few years since I originally did it, and I did it when I was still living in Alberta, and the dyes and the water and all of that can change the color, so I just re-dyed it, and then I wanted to do, just to make sure that the color representation is as accurate as it can be. And this is my Jolly Holiday colorway, which is a Christmas colorway. And I am re-dyeing and re-sample knitting a few colors that are older for a Christmas in July update that I'm planning on having. And I'm actually quite excited about it because it's a little bit of a break. It's colors that I don't have to, you know, come up with from scratch. It's all older colorways, and I really, really like this. And I didn't have my original sample of these anymore anyway. I think I had given them away. So now I have a sample again, and I am really looking forward to this update. I think these are really fun and they're really funky. So the colorways that I have chosen so far for that update are going to be the Jolly Holiday, and then I have decided I wanted to do Baker's Twine, Carols in the Snow, and then my colorway from last year, Season's Greetings. But I think for the Season's Greetings, I'm going to do it as the sort of goof up that I ended up doing at the end of last year, because I ended up preferring it over the original dye recipe. So I'll have to knit another sample of that as well, even though I still have the old one. But that's okay. So yeah, that is another pair of socks. Very exciting. So next up, I have a sweater for Mirabelle, who I knit for all the time. She is now 3 years old. And this is a sweater I've been meaning to knit for her for quite a while. Well, since last year, because I have a sewn garment that I made for her last year. And by itself, it's absolutely beautiful and I love it, but I wanted something to go specifically with it just because I thought it would be super, super cute. So I knit this plain raglan. It's got 1x1 ribbing. It's super, super cute. I did the 3 to 4 year old size, and this is the Tailor sweater by KnitsDuNord. I've knit this sweater probably 4 times already. I just really find it's very strict. It's just a raglan, pretty much. I'm using it for the numbers. But yeah, it's really cute, and I knit it out of my own hand-dyed yarn. This is a DK weight, and it's in the Hot Lava colorway. I've had this in my stash for quite a while now because I was waiting. I think I was going to use it for something else, and then I changed my mind and then never got rid of it. So I decided this would be the perfect color for that. So I knit this to go with a pinafore that I sewed last year. It is a pattern by Oh Me Oh My Sewing, which has some absolutely fantastic kids patterns. I've sewn a couple of them. I've made a couple pairs of their overalls, and then this one, which is just super, super cute. Just squeeze this in here. I'm so excited to see her in this. I really hope it fits for her like at Christmas time, because I think based on what I've made for her before and how it fits, I think she might be a little bit dainty. So this might be a bit big on her to start off with. But this is what we've got. And it is the cutest. I am so excited. It's got a crisscross in the back, and it's got a little bit of elastic at the back as well, just to help it fit a little bit better. And this, so yeah, this pattern is not difficult at all. It is fiddly, I will say that, but it wasn't hard, and it came together so well, especially with this fabric. This is a cotton canvas that I bought from a web shop called Daily Like Canada. They're on Etsy, and they are a Asian Canadian owned business out of BC, I believe they are. They recently got rid of the Daily Like side of the business. They had 2 sort of sections of their fabric shop, and Daily Like was the more quilting, cottons, and that sort of thing. And then their other side is more apparel fabrics. So they've sort of folded the side that has this type of fabric in it. They still have absolutely gorgeous fabrics. They do a lot of their own designs. I think a good portion of their fabric lines are stuff they've designed themselves, and it's just beautiful. Unfortunately, I meant to get more of this fabric when they were closing down their shop, but their inventory was wrong on their website, and there wasn't actually very much left when I ordered it. So unfortunately, it's all gone, but it's super cute. And yeah, I really hope she can wear it at Christmas time because I think it'd be so adorable. And then her new baby sister is going to get the Pop Rock sweater that I finished earlier this year, which is this one right here. And I also think these two together are going to be absolutely adorable. Yeah, I love making things for little kids because the satisfaction from it is so fast, so quick and easy. It's so gorgeous. I love it so much. I'm so happy with how that came out. I've been having it hang on my bookshelf and I just keep staring at it out of just, I'm so happy with it. But my last finished object is quite a bit bigger of a project. It was a work in progress last time, and that is my Lyon sweater by PetiteKnit, and this is to sample my Nutcracker collection, my set of 7 colorways so far. And I just finished this yesterday. So it's been washed, blocked, and dried outside when I was sitting out on the deck earlier today, and it is glorious. And here it is. Hopefully I can get this all in one shot. It's quite a bit bigger. Dun, dun. It's so soft and lofty. And it blocked out quite well. I'm really hoping it has a more boxy fit. I was trying it on and it did sort of, I have pretty wide hips, so it was sort of skimming my hips. So I think I tried to block it a little bit wider in the body, but not like stretching it, just giving it a good going over. And I am super happy with it. It's so beautiful. I sewed in the 1.5 million ends the other day. And it's beautiful. So as I said, this is my Nutcracker collection. It's from I dyed a self-striping sock yarn based on a sweater from the Gap. So technically this is just like a Gap sweater dupe thing, which is funny because it would technically be more expensive than just buying the sweater from the Gap, but it's not handmade. So I dyed all the colors, one skein of sock yarn and then 1 skein of mohair in each of the colors. And I have a significant amount of yarn left over. I didn't use any of the colors in the sock yarn, like I didn't use the whole skein completely except for the caramel color, and that's only because I used it as the bottom hem, and the fact that there's an extra stripe, oh well, I guess that wouldn't even matter. Never mind, that has nothing to do with it. But I have so much of each of the colors of mohair left over. I don't think I used more than 20 grams of mohair in any single one of the colors, including the caramel color. So I am planning on doing, dyeing like kits, sort of this colorway, like just as I probably won't do too many, it'll just be an option. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to split each skein of mohair, because when I order the bare mohair, it comes in a 50-gram skein. I think I'll split them in half so that you can get just 25 grams of each color, because yeah, I have a ton left over of each colorway. Like I have some of them that I only used 15 grams. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I really want a sweater in this color. I'm planning on doing a Seasons cardigan by Ozetta in this color. I have technically, a little while ago, I actually dyed DK weight yarn and mohair and I have it started. I started it already, but I decided that I wanted the main skein, like the yarn, to be a non-superwash, just so it didn't like stretch out entirely. So I just need to get some of that bare yarn and dye it up for that, and I think it's going to be absolutely stunning. And then I also really want to make like a dress out of this color because I think it would be so nice. And it's funny because those are actually the two colors that I have named already. This is Maraschino Cherry, and this one is Black Forest Pearl. And the reason for this color is that it is the exact same color of my boyfriend's truck, which is called Black Forest Pearl. It looks black most of the time, but in the sun it has a beautiful green color. Is that an important piece of information? Probably not. But yeah, it's a super easy sweater. It came together really easily. The pattern, it's PetiteKnit. It's nothing like, you know, world shattering. But it was a simple sweater to put together. Everything came together really nicely. I did, the only modification I made, and that's purely because I wanted to end, I don't really like a deep raglan sort of, I don't like a deep armhole, or like a, what am I trying to say? I don't like the raglan to go too deeply. I have quite a short span between the top of my shoulder and my armpit. I've got slightly thinner arms than the rest of my body would indicate. So I just wanted to make sure that the separation for the sleeves didn't go too low, and also I wanted to end it on like the end of a stripe, so that when I split the body and sleeves, it would be like at the separation of the color. So I did do my increases. I sped them up right at the end, pretty much, is what I'm trying to say. And that's the only modification I did, besides the fact that I didn't do a double folded collar. I actually did knit the collar 3 times, which was fun. The first time I used a different color entirely. I meant to have a color that was going to be the contrast, like the cuffs and the hem and the neckline, and I didn't like it, especially for the fact that, so for the bottom, the reason I changed it is I didn't want the pale color that I had chosen for the contrast to be right next to this color because they were too similar. And then for the neckline, I didn't want that color right next to my face because it washed me out. So I just decided against it entirely, so I just ended the sleeves with the green. I feel like I'm going in circles with describing this, but it's really, really nice. I'm still not sure if it'll be for me to wear or if it'll be a gift. I'll have to try it on. I want to put it away for a bit and then, you know, not have to look at it for too long and then see if I still like it. I have a tendency to dislike a lot of the things I make when I'm finished with them because I'm sick of looking at them. But if I put it away for a little while and take it back out again, maybe in the like later in the year, and see if I like it, I'll decide if it's going to be for me or if it's going to be for a Christmas gift, because I'm not entirely sure if the combination of colors suits me in particular, and that's totally okay. I know someone who this would look just absolutely divine on, so it won't go to waste. And I do have a plan for some of my leftovers. It's going to be hilarious, and it's crochet, and I can't wait to start it. I think it's going to be so cute, but I just need to actually do it. I'm not going to tell you what it is until I've started it, so it's going to be adorable. I really hope it works out. Okay, we're going to move on to works in progress now, and I have 1, 2, 3, technically 5 new works in progress since my last episode. I can't remember. I frogged my poppy tea that I was making. I'd gotten through the increases and did the sleeve separation, and I just realized that I was never going to wear that color. And also, I think for the poppy tea, I think it would look better if you knit it in either a loftier yarn, because I was just using sock yarn, and the sock yarn that I use is quite smooth. So I think you would need either a plumper fingering weight or something with a little bit more fluff to fill in the gaps. It just looked really... If I'm going to knit a fingering weight top, I want it to be a little bit more densely knit than what was coming up in that one. So I just took it off my needles, no problem. I enjoyed knitting what I had knit, so I didn't really care if I wasn't going to get it. But I do want to make that pattern eventually. I just want to pick something that's not quite as I always want to say the word mean, and that might be accurate, but feeling really energetic today. I'm not entirely sure why. It's all the sunshine I've been getting. So the first thing I'll show you is a pair of socks, And this is going to be a gift for my friend Brittany. I think I knit her 3 pairs of socks last year. So I have a bunch of commercial sock yarn that I'm probably just going to be knitting socks for her and just a couple other people. So I number them, and I text her occasionally, pick a number between this and this, and whatever she picks is the socks that I knit next, just because it's more fun that way. And the latest one, I started these yesterday, is this Lana Grossa, I don't know how to say this particular word, and I have no recollection of where I got this, but it is a 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. It's machine washable, so it must be superwash, but it doesn't have the feel of superwash. It has quite a rough, not rough, that's not the right word, but it has like a non-superwash sort of texture. But the color of this one is 5502, and she really loves purple, so I was quite glad that I got this one. So I cast these on yesterday to be a walking project, and I got through the cuff and a little bit of the leg, and this is as far as I've gotten so far. So for hers, I knit them on 2.25 millimeter needles, and I cast on 64 stitches. And then I do my usual heel flap and gusset, and then hers are just a little bit longer than what I would knit for myself. She's got slightly bigger feet than me. And yeah, these are just going to be a basic sock, and I'll use the same yarn for the heel flap and gusset, and the whole body of the sock will be the same color, because I really like to use a good portion of this to knit her socks. And I'm probably going to have enough, probably doesn't even come into it. I'm going to have enough to knit Mirabelle a pair of matching socks, I think, because I don't want to keep this kind of stuff in my stash as leftovers, because both of my scrappy crochet blanket projects, they don't really have this kind of yarn in them. It's all hand-dyed, usually my own. So I want the texture to stay the same, so I'll try to use up as much as I can in this to knit Mirabelle, and maybe her little sister some socks as well, so I'll try to use up the entirety of it. But there's nothing particularly exciting. I'll probably try to keep it as a walking project, or just when I don't want to think at all. So that'll be done just whenever. There's no deadline here. I have so much more to say this time around. I actually filmed this a couple days ago, and during editing I got so bored of myself because I didn't have anything to say that I just deleted it. It's fine. So I have 2 new summery sort of patterns that I started recently. Well, one significantly more recently than the other. But I started a tank top 2 days ago because I am in desperate need of more summer garments. And I started the Sailor Swift top by Kudavakika. So Veronika, I don't remember her last name. She has a YouTube channel, and she's delightful. She just recently had a baby boy, and it's super cute. But I started this, and it's going so far really, really well. It matches what I'm wearing very, very closely. So I just recently, maybe 45 minutes ago, got to the point of joining the front and the back, and it's kind of scrunched up. I've just got to the point of needing to add the new yarn for the stripes, but it is going super, super well. I am going to have to go in after and finish up the neckline and armholes with an I-cord once I'm done, but I am using, what yarn am I using? I'm using Scapious Katona, and that is 100% mercerized cotton, and it's 125 meters for 50 grams, so it's about like a sport kind of weight, and it knits up like a sport weight. And this color is, doesn't say, does this one have color on it? No, 505 maybe? And then my, the contrast I've chosen is 157, so it's the sort of brown color. And I chose these colors because I have actually a significant amount of this yarn, because I bought it to make clothes for the knitted animal friends that I was going to make. I have yet to even finish one. So I have a bunch of I have a bunch of different colors, but like only 2 skeins of like the small one in a lot of them. So I think if this one fits well and I like it, I'm going to make like a couple scrappy ones with a lot of the yarn that I have from that. I don't know why I bought so much. I'm very hopeful at the time. But it is knitting up really, really well. I'm liking the texture from this. And yeah, it's going really, really well. I like how the way that you pick up your stitches at the shoulder seam, because she has you cast on using a backwards loop cast on, which is a lot easier to pick up stitches from. So it's very tidy. And yeah, it's just going really well. And now I'm just knitting in the round until I get to the point where I need to add the, ribbing at the bottom, and then it's just a little bit of finishing and then it's done. And then I'll have a tank top. I think I'm knitting the large size. I want to say the large size, which is a little bit bigger than recommended, but I don't think I'd mind that at all. And that way I can see how it fits and see if I like it, because it's not a project that's going to take that long. So if I don't particularly like the fit, I can just make another one. And I'm using 3mm needles, I think. Yep. And yeah, it looks ridiculous because it's so scrunched up, but I'm working on that. I'll probably work on that in the backyard after I'm finished filming this, which will be nice. And I'd like to get that done sooner rather than later, just so I have something to wear when I'm sitting outside, because as I've mentioned before, I have no summer garments except this one, pretty much. Okay, I have made an absolute disaster of a mess with this next project. So I don't think I had this the last time I filmed, but it has been on my needles for a few weeks now. But I cast on the Cumberland Pullover, which is a pattern by Cheryl Toy. And that's a pattern out of this Interweave magazine from 2019. And I distinctly remember getting this magazine when we were still in Alberta, obviously, and it was during the huge fire year where our town almost burned down. And I remember getting this and posting on my Instagram stories about the sweater that I've finally cast on, that I really wanted to knit it. So 5 years later, I still really want to knit it, so great. It is this one right here, which is a Oliver lace. It's supposed to be long sleeves and it's quite long in the body, but I am making adjustments to both of these things. It's just so beautiful. The yarn I'm using is Dura Natura Albertine, which is a 90% superwash merino. Is it superwash? No, it says 90, it's not even merino. It's 90% wool, 10% silk, and that's this right here. So it's a fingering weight technically, but it is very plump. Like if I were to knit the poppy tee in fingering weight, this one would be perfect because it is a very plump fingering, and it's really nice to work with. So, oh, pardon me. It's a mulberry silk. Yeah, this is the colorway. Oh, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Sorry. So I have had this. I was going to use it for another project, but that I completely decided against that. But I've cast on one of the sleeves. The way it's designed is you knit the sleeves cuff up, and then you knit the body hem up, and then you join at the yoke for the yoke. So I've cast on the sleeve, and I'm this far. It'll look so much different once it's blocked. Can't even tell you. It's all scrunched up. So the modification that I've made is technically you're supposed to cast on for the wrist, and then you do increases throughout the sleeve. It's quite a fitted sleeve. And then you do increases in pattern up till the join. But I didn't want a fitted sleeve for something like this, and I also didn't want it to be full length. So I cast on 60 stitches, which, how did I decide that? I can't even remember how I decided that. But I think it's because it was 2/3 of what I would need for the actual patterning. And then I did the cuff and then increased right after the cuff to the full amount that you'd need for the underarm. So that way, and it'll look a lot different when it's blocked, but that way it'll be about up to here where it is, and it'll be the full size all the way up. So yeah, it's on a smaller needle, and when it's blocked, it'll grow quite a bit, but it'll be more of a balloon shape than a tapered sleeve. And I've almost got it to the point where I'm going to put it aside, I think, before I join it in the round. Because I want it to be, yeah, about just past the elbow. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that looks blocked, but there's quite a bit more work to do before I can see it, because this is not a fast pattern. It's knit on 3.25mm needles, and it's all over lace. Every row has something going on in it, so... But I'm really, really enjoying it. I really enjoy knitting, like, all over stuff, like if it's color work or cables or lace. I really enjoy it. And yeah, I also really like, it's sort of inconsequential, but I also really like the fact that the section that has the start of the round, you can't really see that there's no jog or anything because of the patterning, which I think is really nice. That is not going to be a fast project, I can tell you that right now. But also something that's really pleasing is I'm getting the whole sleeve up to the underarm out of one, this is what I started unraveling, out of one skein of yarn, so that's really hopeful. And yeah, it's supposed to be quite a long top, but I think what I'm going to do is, because I have quite a short torso and I don't want it to go that long, it makes me look ridiculous, I'm going to crop it quite a bit, and I think I might also add, like, I'll make a bigger size in the body just so it's a little bit more boxy, and then I can decrease those stitches in the, like, raglan portion of that if I'd like to, or even like if I get to the neckline, I can just do a quick decrease before doing the garter stitch, so it brings it in a little bit more. Pardon me. My next work in progress is something you did see last time, and that is Helmut the Seagull, which is a crochet pattern, and he is almost done. I could have had him done so easily. He needs like 30 minutes extra crocheting because he needs his feet. I have one of his feet done. It took literally 5 minutes, and I just need to crochet the leg and then the other foot and leg and sew them on, and it's ridiculous. I don't know what's taking me so long. But I did attach his beak and embroidered his eyes, and then attached his wings, and then I just want to knit him a little sailor's hat, I think. But yeah, he's so close to being finished. I don't know what the block is, but he's gonna look so good on my shelf. And yeah, based on the pattern, he turned out significantly larger than the pattern intended because the yarn is thicker, so I used a larger needle or a hook, and then so yeah, the combination of that just means that he's probably, I'd say, twice as big as the original pattern is supposed to be. Like the original pattern has the person holding it in the palm of their hand, and it's just like this big. It's so funny. He's huge and grumpy, and I love him. And it's a great way to use up some yarn that it was the same thing. I bought a lot of this yarn to make the knitted animal friends, and I have like 70% of an owl done, and I just need to do that too, but he's great, and he will be finished next time. I swear it. I'm determined. I don't need him in a whip state any longer than he needs to be. So I'm just going to move into some sewing and a new cross-stitch project. So if that doesn't interest you, that is a-okay. I'll do the cross-stitch first because I have more sewing to show. So I started a new cross-stitch last week sometime. I can't even remember. I was just in the mood for it, and I don't really have many. I have one cross-stitch project on the go, but it's at the point where it's a Halloween one, and all the stuff I have to do left is all in black, and that's kind of, I can get a little bit boring. So I wanted to start one that's more, colorful. And I've had this has been my, when I'm ready to start a new one project, I'll do this for the last few years. And I really love it. And it is a moth pattern. I'll put a picture up of what it's going to look like. But this is what I've got so far, which I'm quite happy with, even this, because this was only a few hours work, and I really, really love cross stitch. It's so fun. And as far as I can remember, this is a 16 count. I want to say it's a 16 count Aida that I purchased from an Etsy shop specifically for this pattern because I wanted it to have the dark green background. And yeah, it's cross stitch. I'm just following the pattern, but I'm so excited to have it done because I have wanted this particular design to be on my wall somewhere for a very long time. So also I just really like moths. This is the only moth that's allowed in my house. Thank you very much. So I will update as and when, but yeah, cross stitch doesn't really have much that you can say about it. I have had people ask before, what I hold my cross stitches in, this is called a Q snap. I bought this one from Michael's. I have quite a few of them actually. You can get them at fabric stores, online, a bunch of places, cross stitch shops. I really like a Q snap. I find it really easy to hold on to because of the way that I cross stitch. I hold the thing up with one hand and then I use my finger to like guide my needle. So yeah, they don't leave a crease the same way that a hoop does. And I just find them really comfortable. You can buy like covers, grime covers for the outside so that you don't get dirt on them. And in this one, if you saw, like I have some interfacing sandwiched between the clasp thing and the actual frame just to make it tighter so it doesn't loosen up over time. That's the only reason I do that. But yeah, they work really, really, really well. And then I just have a Emily Ferris magnet or needle minder that I got from my cousin Jennifer, I think. Okay, I have 3 sewing projects. They're all like quilty based. I didn't show any of my quilt tops in the last episode because I was sort of carrying on. And I have a few of them that I have finished in this year so far. So I'm just going to show you those, but I'll show you first. I have yet this year to finish a birthday present on time. I'm having terrible coordination with making birthday gifts. I don't know why, but the cardigan I was making for my boyfriend for his birthday, still not finished. I have barely worked on it since the last episode. I was making something for my mother-in-law for her birthday, which was in March. Definitely didn't finish that. There was something else, but I can't remember what it was that I just never finished. And so this is just a part of a long line of non-finished birthday gifts. But his birthday, the person this is for, his birthday was last Saturday, this past Saturday. And I actually haven't seen him since then, so I feel better about it. So I'd really like to get this done. So this is a table topper, or like a table, not a tablecloth, but like a decorative table topper. And it is something I've actually made before. And this is what it looks like. So I've made this before and I bring it out every fall, and every time the recipient of this one sees it, he jokes that he's going to steal it. So I figured I would just make one for himself. I didn't have all the same fabrics because I used up like all of the fabric from that one in that one. So it's a little bit different from the one we have, but it's the same design, so it should be all right. And I just need to quilt it and then bind it. So it's already glue basted, ready to go. And like, I don't even do that much quilting on this. Like mine barely has any quilting at all. It'll take me a few hours and then to add some binding. So I don't know what the holdup is, but I really would like to get this done before the weekend because my boyfriend is helping this person's mom or his parents move. So I can send it with him as his belated birthday gift. But I'm showing it here, maybe as a little bit of a, you need to finish this right away, please and thank you. Don't show this next time. You shouldn't have it anymore. So that's like sort of my trying to shame myself into finishing that. When it's nice outside, like it has been for the past quite a while, I just want to sit outside, and that's not really something I can take outside. So you know how it is. So the next thing, and I'll have some B-roll of this because it's too big to show all on the screen, but this is actually my most recently finished quilt top. And it is probably my favorite so like quilting pattern for, if ever I can't think of what quilt pattern to use for a collection of fabrics, this is pretty much the one I go for. This is my third one of this design, and it is beautiful. This is a pattern called Christmas Joy. The original pattern is like made in Christmas fabrics, and I think it was released at Christmas time, so that's why it's called Christmas Joy, but like I haven't made a Christmas themed one yet. And it's beautiful. Again, I'll show some B-roll, but this is, I made this because I just really wanted to use this fabric. I had a fat quarter set, and it's from a fabric line called Bookish, so they're all like book and reading themed fabrics. And they're just beautiful. And I have the backing fabric that I've chosen. I don't have it with me right here, but I've, it's got like open book pages all over it. So it has like script writing kind of stuff. And I absolutely love fabric like that. And I think it's going to be really, really nice. So yeah, it's just, this is a twin size, I believe. The other two that I've made have been queen sizes, and I didn't have enough fabric out of this line to make that, so I didn't need another queen size quilt of the same patterning, because I actually have both of the other ones. I kept them because they're mine. But yeah, I really, really like this. If you are someone who has wanted to try quilting, this is, in my personal opinion, one of the best beginner quilts that you can make, because the only thing that that isn't like just straight up squares, and they're really easy to make. The only thing that's complicated might be the half square triangles. So when the square is half one color and half the other. And to be perfectly honest, they are super, super easy. There are so many tutorials on how to make them. And also they're a block that you trim after you cut them. So you can, I've had some really shady ones that I've done before, but you trim them so you make them square and like proper. So you kind of get rid of the evidence of the foibles that you've made. And besides that, everything is just squares sewn together. That's it. Squares and rectangles sewn together in a particular pattern. It's so simple and would 100% be something I would recommend to someone trying to quilt for the first time. And it's just pretty. It's really pretty. It was, the first one I made of this was my first, it's the first quilt, it's not the first quilt I made. I think, what was it? Maybe the first quilt I like finished. It was my second quilt top, my first finished full quilt, I think. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And honestly, when you're making something like that after it's quilted and washed, you can barely see any mistakes you've made anyway, because it gets all crinkly. I love quilting. My house is full of quilts and I have no room for them. That's why I gift so many. So the last thing I'm going to show, and probably one of my favorite things I've made quilting wise, it's so beautiful. This is a quilt called the Goodnight Garden, and I did something very, very boring, and I just copied the colors that the quilt was designed in because they were so beautiful. But it's so nice. It's so lovely. Again, B-roll, I'll show you that. These are, so I cut out all of my fabric for this. This was ages ago. And because I wanted this to be as neat as I possibly could make it, when I was sewing the quilt top together, these are all individual blocks like this. And you sew them so that they're at an angle, like so. I only did one block at a time, 2 if I was feeling good about it, because I wanted to take the time to do each block and make sure each block was perfect. Because I find for myself, if I do batch sewing, I can tend to be a little bit, I think, more rushed, or like not lazy, but like I get a bit like just trying to finish as much as possible. So I went really slow with this, and it turned out really, really well. It has so many little pieces in it, it's a little bit ridiculous, but I absolutely love it. So you finish all your blocks and you put the sashing rows and then you sew them together, and then you use these triangles, these squares cut on the bias, and that makes it so it kind of turns its direction. So I'm gonna get this sent off to be quilted by my mother-in-law, and then when you get it all quilted, you actually have to trim the top a little bit because of the way it's sewn up. And you actually have the option to curve the edges, which I think is going to be so beautiful because it just makes it look even softer. And I'm super, super happy with it. I'm so excited to get this done. I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I don't actually have a place to like put it, to display it. Like we have a twin size spare bed, but it's in the rabbit's room because we couldn't put it anywhere else. So he sleeps on that all the time. So I don't really want to get this absolutely covered in rabbit fur because he sheds like nobody's business. He almost feels like he sheds as much as a dog does. You know, when Gus was still around, he's, you know, an 85-pound lab, and that 3-pound rabbit seems like he sheds just the same. It's ridiculous. I don't know where it all comes from. But yeah, this, I wouldn't recommend the first quilting project, but if you want to really learn how to do all of these different things, which it's not overly complicated either, but it does have like, this is one block where you have to put these edges on either side, and actually this one has more, but I'm really happy with how the edges turned, like all the corners, almost all of them, they meet up where they should, and it's just beautiful, and I love this fabric. I'm kind of gutted that I didn't have enough of this black fabric to do the backing with, but what can you do? What can you do? I have another black fabric that I'm going to use for the backing, and I'm just really, really excited to see how this looks when it's quilted. And I am very spoiled with the fact that my mother-in-law does long arm quilting because it's honestly the reason I make so many quilts, I think. Because if I had to either quilt them myself, because actually that Christmas Joy, I'm going to have to quilt it myself because the fabric I got for the backing isn't wide enough to do on a long arm quilting machine. It has to be bigger than your quilt top, and it's like just bigger, so I'm not going to send it to anyone and have that be a problem. So I'm going to quilt it myself. I might hand quilt that one. That might be nice. But I'm really spoiled. The ease of just sending her things, and like I pay her for the batting and the shipping and all that, and she just does it for me, and it's really, really nice. Really nice. Yeah, very spoiled. That's why I make so many quilts. But I do gift most of the quilts that I make just because I like quilting, but I don't need, you know, dozens of quilts in my house. That would be ridiculous. So as a little last portion, I'm going to show you the summer yarns that I got from the Knitting Loft's sale and just talk a bit about what my plans are for them. So most of what I got is this Crea Deluxe organic cotton. They come in 50-gram little balls. These are very dense little balls, so there is actually 50 grams in here. And it's definitely a fingering weight. And I got it in 4 different colors with enough of each to actually finish a project. So out of this black, I want to make a My Favorite Things Knitwear camisole. I can't decide between camisole number 5 and camisole number 9. I think it'll just depend if I want plain knitting or something with a little bit more interest. I am leaning towards camisole number 5, but we'll see. So I've got 4 of those to do that in. And then I have this cream color. I have 4 of these as well, and I'm actually planning on making this top, which is from Debbie Bliss, issue 14. I believe this came, when did this come out? 2014? I wonder if it says. Maybe not. But I have made this top actually twice already, years ago. The first one I made, I'm not entirely sure why I got rid of it. I gave it to one of my late husband's cousins, like his little cousins. I think maybe I made the wrong size, so I gave it away, but I love the pattern so much that I actually used this pattern as the base of my wedding dress. So I knitted that out of like the cheapest acrylic yarn you could get at Michael's, and it's still beautiful. But yeah, I used that this pattern for that dress, and it was lovely. It was beautiful. But I really like this pattern. And then recently I saw that Andrea from the Fruity Knitting podcast knit it herself, and I just realized, I have the pattern already. I'm gonna give it a try. And then now I think I could make it even neater than I did in the first place, just because I'm, a more experienced knitter. And I just think that would be really pretty to wear, a lacy white. And I already have a lacy white top, but it's different. This one's more of a t-shirt. And it has a square neckline that I really, really like. So that's the plan for, I'll just put that back later. That's the plan for the cream color. And then I have this green. I absolutely love this color. I'm hoping it doesn't look absolute crap on me. But I'm thinking of doing, with this one, I think I might just do I can't decide. Is it either going to be oh good heavens, what's it called? A cumulus tee. So between these two colors, I want to make a cumulus tee, but I can't decide which one is going to be which. But either that, or I'm going to do the strange brew numbers for the fingering weight, the same as I did with my pumpkin sweater last year, and just knit a plain round yoke. Kind of like, I want it to look like this one, but a fingering weight. So instead of having to do like all of the calculations for this sweater to a fingering weight, I might just use the strange brew pattern, because I really like the way that my pumpkin sweater fits, and it's basically the same sort of thing going on. And then I'll just add the short rows the same as I've done for my pumpkin sweater. And I think I might cast on a bigger size just to have it be a little bit looser than the actual pattern is. And then yeah, I can't decide, because I kind of want this one to be that as well. Maybe I'll make one of each. I have no idea. I don't know. Either that, or I'd like to make maybe a peacock tee, because I recently watched Marlene's Knits, and she just finished one in a linen, and it looks so beautiful. And I bought one extra of this one, so I have more of this color than I do the other one, so I might do that, but I'm not entirely sure yet. And then the only other thing I got was this Sadness Yarn Tin Lena in this beautiful bright orange color. So I have 4 of these, so 200 grams as well, and I'm in the same boat of that. Do I want to make a cumulus tee, or do I want to make like a round yoke or something like that? I'm not entirely sure, but I'll decide eventually. But this one is very fine, and it's really, really nice, and I think it would look really, really well in a cumulus tee, but I just need to figure that out. I started making a cumulus tee last year, and I actually finished the body of it, but I don't love the color. I keep buying these sort of like cool beiges that don't suit me at all, and I don't know where my head is at when I purchase these things. But that's why I tried to choose more colorful colors. So I'll decide. I don't know if I'm gonna get through all of this summer. I would like to, because I just love the idea of having that many different like new summer knit tops, but we'll see. We'll see how sick of fingering weight garments I get by the time I'm done 2 of them. But that is everything that I've been working on. I have a few other sewing projects that I'm not going to bother showing you until they're finished, because then this episode would just be too long, and it's a little bit more niche than the rest of the stuff I have. So I'm going to call it there, and then now I'm going to go sit in the backyard with my cat and just watch her like a hawk so she doesn't try to jump over the fence again. So yeah, that's my plan, and I will see you in the next episode, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye!